Hello friends. If you like to suppress the gas pedal to the floor, then of course you should pay attention to the 177 horsepower 2.2 liter turbo diesel. It is quite economical and has decent dynamics. Acceleration from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour takes 8.1 seconds. However, turbo diesels with a volume of 2.0 and 2.2 liters are often forced to deal with the breakdown of the gasket under the head of the block. In addition, the problem of increased oil appetite often arises. The aluminum construction of the block and head leads to the fact that the only effective way to eliminate these defects is to replace the engine. This is what the manufacturer says. The cause of the malfunction is a slight settling of the cylinder liners. At the very beginning, Toyota tried to prevent breakdown by lowering the maximum power. However, this step proved ineffective. The risk of a problem increases after 100 to 200,000 kilometers. In addition to this defect, in diesel versions with high mileage, the turbocharger, common rail injectors, and dual-mass flywheel fail. Both diesel engines use expensive and non-repairable Denso injectors. The weakest diesel engine, 1.4D4D, with the 1ND-TV index, creates a minimum of problems. It has a sufficient thrust reserve and consumes a small amount of fuel. High reliability was achieved through a simple design. For example, the engine lacks a dual-mass flywheel, which in most diesel engines requires replacement after 150,000 kilometers. The gas distribution mechanism is driven by a durable chain. Unfortunately, in 2008, Bosch electromagnetic injectors were replaced with piezoelectric injectors, which cannot be repaired. But with the restoration of the Garrett turbocharger, there will be no problems. The disadvantages include the appearance of a particulate filter after 2008, but it does not cause much trouble, unlike the 2.2 DCAT soot with the fifth nozzle implanted in it. According to many mechanics and owners, the 1.4D4D is the best modern diesel engine in its class. Special places in the reliability list are occupied by the 1.4 VVTi and 1.6 VVTi gasoline units. They have a very strong timing chain and do not require unexpected service visits. In 2009, the 1.6 VVTi was replaced by the more powerful 1.6 Valvematic, which has better elasticity and lower fuel consumption. In the same year, the 1.4 VVTi was replaced by the 1.33 dual VVTi with 100 horsepower. The NR series engine was co-developed with Daihatsu. Unfortunately, contrary to expectations, the new motor has become more voracious. And with long runs, an increase in oil consumption is possible due to wear of the piston rings. The hybrid version 1.8 HSD is a real exotic. However, the hybrid is also quite reliable. The four-cylinder engines of the ZR series 1.6 and 1.8 were spared the problem of the predecessors of the ZZ family, excessive oil consumption. However, sometimes it was necessary to add oil to new engines, 200 to 300 milliliters per 1,000 kilometers. Fortunately, this is not a sign of wear or a design defect. Oil consumption was aided by extremely thin SAE 0W20 oil. In 2008, Toyota tried to solve this problem. The related technical note only mentions reprogramming the engine control unit. No other technical measures are indicated. During the operation of ZR motors, people had to deal with phase shifter noise, which changes with the sprocket. Prior to 2009, ZR series engines used a conventional throttle body. The smaller one, with a volume of 1.6 liters, developed 124 horsepower, and the larger one, 1.8 liters, developed 136 horsepower. They had indices 1ZR-FE and 2ZR-FE, respectively. Then the engines underwent modernization, during which they received a completely new cylinder head with the Valvematic system. The system smoothly changes the height of the intake valves, taking over the function of the throttle. Modified motors began to be designated 1ZR-FAE and 2ZR-FAE, and power increased to 132 and 147 horsepower respectively. Surprisingly, although Valvematic is a relatively complex system, it usually does not cause problems. It is worth mentioning another defect of the ZR series motors: timing chain stretching. Usually the disease affected cars whose owners neglected to update the oil in a timely manner. Luckily, the chain didn't jump, leaving the motor a chance to stay alive. The chain could also make noise due to a faulty tensioner. The Toyota Auris is exclusively front-wheel drive. A 5 or 6-speed manual gearbox or a variator was installed in a pair of engines. In addition, a multi-mode robotic transmission with an electronically controlled clutch was used. There are cases of premature wear of the input shaft bearing of a 6-speed manual transmission. The fault is detected after starting the engine. There is a noise that disappears after pressing the clutch pedal. This usually happens after 200 to 250,000 kilometers. Among the minor shortcomings, periodic difficulties with gear shifting, especially from 4th to 5th, can be noted. This is usually caused by progressive corrosion of the links between the lever and the gearbox. The clutch of a manual transmission usually reaches 200 to 250,000 kilometers. The multi-mode automated transmission, MMT, should be avoided. Often its clutch wears out prematurely. The replacement procedure is quite complicated and expensive. After 150 to 200,000 kilometers, the clutch release actuator may fail. Often it can be revived. Otherwise, you will have to buy a new one. If there were complaints about the operation of the MMT, official services changed the electronic control unit of the box to a modernized one. Many owners are dissatisfied with the reliability of the robot. Therefore, in the event of another malfunction, they decided to install the classic Aisin U340E machine gun. Classic Mcpherson struts work on the front axle and a torsion beam on the rear axle. The latter solution does not provide excellent obedience, but it is more reliable and cheaper to repair. In the top version with 2.2 DCAT, a multi-link scheme operates at the rear. There were 4 levers for each wheel. The pendant deserves special praise. Many original items can go over 150,000 kilometers. Even the struts and stabilizer bushings last long enough. Suspension endurance can be a problem when replacing front arms. The bolt turns sour and turns in the subframe. The subframe will have to be changed or cut, and then brewed. Episodes with faulty electromechanical power steering are known. The system has its own control unit in which the power steering fails. During the period of warranty service, the amplifier was changed in assembly with the steering at the expense of the manufacturer. Today, this method will be too costly. In a specialized service, they are ready to take on a cheaper replacement of a directly broken relay. After 150 to 200,000 kilometers, the steering rack may knock. Front wheel bearings have to be updated after 150 to 200,000 kilometers. They change in assembly with the hub. The rear bearings are much more durable. Although the Toyota Auris cannot boast of the impeccability of the Corolla, the Japanese hatchback is a fairly reliable car. However, owners often complain about the poor quality of the paintwork, which is susceptible to scratches. The body is not prone to corrosion, but surfaced rust appears on the elements of the exhaust system and chassis parts. And in 10 to 13 years, the filler pipe can rot to holes. After 150 to 200,000 kilometers, a generator or overrunning clutch may require attention. The interior is filled with hard plastic, which is significantly inferior in quality to German and French competitors. Over time, scratches appear on it. There are also signs of wear on the steering wheel, often begin to corrode seat guides. If you know of other model malfunctions, be sure to write about it.